Sup, RDS? This is my critical reflective journal entry number 8. This week, we're supposed to tie what we've learned throughout this entire program into our learning objectives, which I'm presuming the ones you have stated in your syllabus here. And I've just briefly been glancing at them right now, which are differentiate, select, apply theories and models of teaching. Number 2, locate, examine, and assess, analyze professional literature. 3, address issues in education. 4, incorporate local, national, global issues. 5, provide feedback and demonstrate cooperation and professionalism. And 6 is develop a personal growth plan. You know, I'm gonna be honest, when I first started this course, one of your very first blogs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was titled, "Who Are You and What You Been Up To?" I initially thought, who the hell is this guy? Who is this professor that says what you been up to in a post? I really felt like this was going to be an entire waste of my time, I suppose. And after reading all these outcomes, there's a lot of things that I can't really put into words here. But the most important thing I think that you taught me in this course, RDS, is there is no ideal image of what a teacher should be. I think you've shown that time and time again. I gravely mistook you for someone that you're not. I found you to be very, very interesting. You've been thought-provoking. You've challenged a lot of my views and my opinions, and you've actually made me dig deeper into realizing who I am and what I want to represent as an educator. So when it comes to differentiating and selecting and applying theories and models of teaching, you know, I don't really necessarily understand, not that I don't understand, but I don't know how to put it into words. That is still developing with me, and what I thought in lesson module number 4 is not what I'm thinking in lesson module number 8. When I did that TPI test and I had my results, I was adamant that is exactly who I was as a person. And then a few short weeks later, I realized that social issues were much, much, much higher on my list of priorities than I initially gave them credit for. So when it comes to differentiating and selecting, I'm still not there, to be quite honest. I know what I want to represent as a teacher. I know what my goals are as an educator. I'm still trying to determine what my students need from an educator. Locating, examine, assess, and apply professional literature related to educational practice relevant to my philosophy of teaching. Again, if this is speaking directly to doing research to provide answers that we've had to do in this course, I suppose it's one thing. I'm thinking more broadly what you're asking is outside of this course, this philosophical orientation of education, when it comes to locating, examining, and assessing. And I will just use my current example. I'm as you know, in an LTO, into a profession that is not my broad base. I'm not a transportation technology teacher, which has then caused me, in order to try to be successful in this, is to locate, assess, analyze, obtain professional literature. So I've had to take it upon myself to go to Value Village, sorry this is heavy, and acquire this modern automotive technology textbook. This thing is like a damn cinder block. It is so thick. I don't know if you can just tell by the size of that thing. Massive. I also picked up, maybe it's stupid, but I picked up a Popular Mechanics book as well from Value Village, which may have been printed in the 60s. I don't know, because it looks pretty old. Guide for the Saturday Mechanic. I figure if I'm going to teach this semester, I need some professional literature to assist me through it. These don't work with my philosophy by any means. But you know what? I picked this up today too. Holy Bible. I think because I'm in a Catholic school, I think if I'm going to make this work as a Catholic teacher, I've already discussed some of my conflicts that I've had with the Catholic Church. I think I need to get a deeper understanding for the Bible and some of the things that are. I paid $4 for this too at Value, which is crazy. But I think I need to get a deeper, a broader understanding of the Holy Bible in order to help shape my philosophies as an educator. Like I said, I believe in the Catholic education system, but I've left myself questioning why I believe in it more and more often. Now, again, I'm very happy at this new school. As you saw in my last video, it is a totally different dynamic there, and it doesn't look like it's all smoke and mirrors. So I really appreciate that. But when it comes to assessing and analyzing and applying professional literature related to the education practice, I think all these would count towards that. It's going to shape me, who I am in the classroom as an educator presenting material to my students. Outside of that, I don't know that I need to locate or assess or any of those kind of things to help me with my philosophy as an educator. I know what I am. I'm a tradesperson, and I'm there to uplift other people, to help people recognize their own abilities, to inspire them to take charge of their own learning. It doesn't matter what I'm presenting to these kids, as long as I get them to engage. Once I get them to engage, the learning just happens on their own. And that is what I bring to the table as an educator. It's not professionalism. Not that I'm unprofessional by any means, but I am not a stereotypical teacher. When I look at other teachers, I look at them as being stiff, being cold, being regimented. I see myself as a creative individual, that I know how to speak to a room. I know how to gauge my audience. I know how to engage them. I know how to inspire them. I know through storytelling and through personal quips, observations, some of my own experiences in life, I can draw people in. I've always been able to do it. I've been very successful at it over the years. So I kind of feel that I know where my philosophy is in terms of that. Under number 3 and number 4, assess issues in education and provide feedback, I misspoke there. Issues in education and incorporate local, national, and global issues. Again, I think I've went into that quite in depth the last few weeks. I never ever would have thought that my own social views towards many things would be so heavily impacted in my classroom. I thought I could separate the two. It was evident that is not the case, that I'm actually pretty proud to say that I can't separate the two. I think on a professional level I should be able to, but on a personal level, I feel that's much more important to me than falling into line, the status quo. And if I can incorporate ways to demonstrate my values as a human being towards whatever issue it is to my students, I think that's impactful. And actually, I was telling my students on Friday about I showed you that piece of paper that was in our office, and I started discussing it in the classroom, talking about inclusion. And I had everyone, for the first time as a teacher, everybody was staring at me. I'm not sure exactly why they were so tuned in. Maybe it's a conversation they haven't heard from another teacher, but I talked about my personal history of marching in Pride, building Flow Through Pride, bringing the first BIPOC crosswalk to London. And these kids, for the first, like I said, they were glued to me as I was speaking. And I really enjoyed that. And this is not going to be an issue that I consistently push in my classroom, but I need to know the students where I stood on it and what I expect out of them as learners in my classroom and as people who are contributing to the class environment. So that is something that I think that this class taught me. It was to really, really evaluate, self-reflect, I guess, on how important those issues were to me. So that's a win. Provide feedback, demonstrate cooperation, professionalism through assessment and self-assessment. I think I've done a pretty good job of that. I think I've been very honest and thoughtful when it came to my own self-reflections, to responses to my peers. I know it might be tough for you because you don't know us to the level that we know my colleagues and I know each other. Sometimes you might be sitting back and looking at a comment that you might seem to feel is offside. And it's just the way that we communicate. And I'm not saying you've ever led me to believe that you ever thought anything was offside, but we have a unique sense of humor, I guess, myself and some of my colleagues. We're all in the trenches here together. It's a very unique experience. And we're all pretty well bonded right now with each other. We keep in close contact throughout the day. I think we have like 4 or 5 different chats between Facebook and other chats, or Facebook chats, and then we have WhatsApp chats, and then we have randomly like 10, 12 of us will jump into a Zoom call together on a Thursday night just to catch up to see how it's going. So I think that's really contributed to the professionalism between each other as well, because we've been able to share. And myself, especially, I'm very transparent. I'm honest. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm struggling when I am struggling, and I'm not afraid to talk about my self-doubt. And I think that helps with other people open up as well. I think I give off this image. I think it's fair to say I give off an image of being a certain type of person, just like physically and visually looking at me. And when I open up to other people, it kind of throws them off, I suppose, but in a good way, which then helps them open up as well. And I think because I try to be very authentic, I think people buy into that and they feel more comfortable around me. So I've never had a hard time talking to anyone in my class. I've never had a hard time providing feedback. In fact, I get I get asked quite often from my peers to provide them with feedback, whether it's in this class or another class, or how to approach a teaching situation. And I'm pretty proud, I guess, that my colleagues think that much of me that they do want my opinion. And it makes me feel really good, to be honest, and to actually provide feedback to my colleagues without fear of them taking it the wrong way. I've never once been concerned somebody was going to take my words the wrong way, which is funny because my entire life I've always been concerned about that. But I never had to concern myself with that when it came to my classmates. And I don't know if it's because I'm more confident in sharing my opinion. I don't know if it's because I just choose my words more carefully when I speak. But I do try to be thoughtful in my responses. So I think that I've done a very good job at providing feedback, not only in this class, but through the entire program with all of my peers. Develop a professional growth plan that demonstrates responsibility for self-learning and professional growth. I'm not really sure how to tie that into anything that we've been taught in this class. Aside from the fact, referencing the TPI survey again, I'm pretty proud to recognize the results that I obtained when I did that test are not the results that are a true reflection as to who I am. And it would be nice to go back down the road and take that survey again to see where that self-growth is, to see what changed, to see if there's been a commitment to evolving who I am as a person. When it comes to self-learning and professional growth, I've already covered it, but me on a Sunday running up to Value Village to buy textbooks, repurposed textbooks, to try to be successful in a role that I potentially might only be in for the next 3 months, but it is important to me to expand who I am as a person. Doesn't matter what it is. If I'm going to be put in a position, I want to be able to excel. So that's on me. I don't know if I've told you this entire story, but I was offered this LTO. They were about to shut down the program. They didn't care that I didn't have a transportation background. And I was very honest. I don't have one. I haven't worked on vehicles in a long time. they just want me to be a warm body. They want to kick out anybody in class that gives me a hard time because they just can't afford to lose this program. I'm pretty sure I said all this. And that's not good enough for me. I don't want to kick anybody out. I'm hell-bent on making sure that I don't kick anybody out. I'm going to find a way to get through to every student. That's just going to be my mission. I'm not going to stress myself out over it, but I'm going to find solutions. But in order to find solutions to be successful in this role, it meant that I had to be transparent with the students, say I don't have a transportation background, but I'm going to do my damnedest to get them information, and we're going to collectively learn. Students are going to take charge of their learning, and I am going to join them in that. I'm not just facilitating it. I'm a passenger on this voyage with them. Nautical terms. I think I brought up nautical terms a few weeks prior as metaphors, right? There we go. There's one. I didn't mean to slip that one out. Professional growth. I want to, it doesn't matter. If I'm in it for a week, I want to be knowledgeable in what I'm doing for a week. So I think it's a disservice to the students in this class if I don't take on some self-growth, some self-learning in this role. I think it's unfair to them. I'm not expected to by administration, which I'm kind of surprised at, but they're between a rock and a hard place, and they just want me to make sure the program doesn't get shut down. So it's not good enough for me. I want more. So I'm going to do my damnedest to learn about automotive. And then you know what? Come February, if I got asked to do an LTO on how amazing cats are, which I know that's not a program, but I mean, it was something, if I took it on, I would have to pretend that I love cats and how to take care of cats. I would do that because that's part of the self-learning, the self-growth. I want to be as deployable as possible and as well-rounded as possible. So it's going to be a long time because my background is a sheet metal worker by trade. So while I have a little bit of experience in this, I also don't have a ton of experience in what my broad base is here, and that's construction. To me, when I thought construction, I thought it'd be a lot of the stuff that I did, but it's mostly woodworking. So I've had to learn a lot of woodworking stuff too, which I picked up a few woodworking books a few weeks ago prior to accepting this LTO in transportation. So I think that this course has been really beneficial to helping me unlock things that were already inside me. I remember telling you at the beginning, I didn't need someone to pat me on the back and tell me I'm going to be great. I need someone to challenge me. And one of your little metaphors or cartoons that you pushed was pushing and pushing back, Tai Chi maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But you provided that to me. And I think that was what I needed more than anything else. More important than any of these, I was going to say stupid readings, but more important than a lot of these readings that you presented us with. I think it was an interaction with you and the fact that you were ready and willing and you did challenge me that helped me. I needed a kick in the pants, and that's what you provided for me. So that is what I'm taking away from this course. These things that I've discussed with you today are things I'm deploying as an educator right now that I expect to continually grow on, to revisit, to work on them. Again, when it comes to my theories, I don't know because it's evolving from one day to the next. I'm deploying a different theory. So it's a revolving door as it stands. So I can't really answer that question truthfully and honestly to you right now. But again, I'm really happy to, in these short 8 weeks that we've had so far together, how much I've changed as a person. And like we talked about last week, I'm excited for part 2, which comes in next semester here. So that's where I stand, Darren. I'm going to start working on my teaching philosophy, evolving teaching philosophy right now, and get a jump start on that. Because while I don't think it changes much from when I first started, from my very first paper that I wrote, Tim, when we joined, when we started in Windsor there, I think there are some subtle differences in there that have really helped me in terms of where I stand with UDL, where I stand with people with disabilities, and talking about equality and inclusion. Those are a lot of things that weren't necessarily on my original teaching philosophy. I think that the first one was a lot about focusing on grades and teaching curriculum and things like that. And I think I've identified now learning is more of a journey than it is hitting high water marks out of a curriculum book. So I don't know if you're going to ask us to write a journal next week for number 9, but I'm probably still going to give you one. And I'm probably going to keep providing you journals. Maybe not necessarily as long, but I'd like to keep you in the loop until we run into each other back in the new year there. And to keep you informed of how I am transforming as an educator. I've actually come to love this course, and I didn't think I would. So that is my entry for lesson module number 8, Darren. Been a slice so far, man. We'll talk soon.